What's hiding underneath things can be scary. Underwater, under your bed, especially what's under your carpet. Except when you get new carpet from Carpet One Floor and Home. After tearing up your old carpet, they'll vacuum and apply Health Annex antimicrobial to your subfloor, disinfecting and killing mold, mildew, and any remaining general awfulness. Carpet One Floor and Home goes the extra mile to protect you, your family, and your home. Carpet One Floor and Home in Columbia, making your home beautiful, guaranteed.
Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on this Christmas Eve, Tuesday, December the 24th. Welcome and Merry Christmas to you. And we have Larry Brown, our singer, songwriter, and storyteller. Today, it's storytelling time, right?
It's a Christmas story. I think appropriate for Christmas Eve. And Paul, normally I don't tell you the title of my stories ahead.
Right.
I'm going to tell you this one.
What is it?
Hoop Hopes.
Hoop Hopes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so here is Larry Brown with a Christmas Eve story. Hoops Hopes. If we can both stop coughing through this.
Hoop Hopes.
Hoop Hopes.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, here he is, Larry Brown.
A 10-foot basketball goal, hoop, clear plastic backboard, adjustable, portable, and a new Spalding basketball. That's what Quentin wanted for Christmas. And he was driving his mother and his little sister and his grandfather crazy about it. Now, he had this old Spalding basketball that had belonged to his dad, but it was good but not good enough. He needed a whole new system. Now, he could practice, at other kids, his friends and neighbors' driveways. Yeah, well, he could go to the park, when weather permitted, and occasionally the school gym might be available. But to be on the first string, Quentin needed to have his own court and his own driveway with his own equipment, a basketball system. Well, this past year had been a difficult year. His father had died just a year before that, and it had been a financially stressful year. His mom's job at the local Quick Stop really wasn't enough to support the three of them, mom and two kids. So their grandfather, his dad's dad, had stepped in to the rescue and had offered to have them move in with him, which was really just a few blocks away from where they originally lived. And Grandfather Lee's job at a warehouse, he put into the family budget. So they were getting by, but not quite enough. Well, of course, Quentin's quest for this basketball system was putting a lot of pressure on his mom, but his mom was busy and trying to earn the living and seemed to be a bit distracted by that and not paying attention. Quentin at even times was sort of, offering those adolescent threats, I'll be the only one without, or I won't have any friends, or I'll never make the team, those kind of pleas and so on. Well, Grandfather Lee wasn't particularly responsive to that either, except, Quentin's dad had gotten a terminal illness 3 years previously, and it was a long and costly illness. But during that time, Grandfather Lee had stepped in and become really the role model for Quentin. Had taken him fishing, hunting, lots of outdoor activities. Certainly, his grandfather supported Quentin's basketball hopes. But Grandfather Lee wasn't really into the electronic technical stuff either. And Grandfather Lee's job was such that he couldn't come to all of Quentin's sports events. And Grandfather Lee was, he was supportive, but he was, Quentin would say, of that old school, Now, your dad got by on that old Spalding ball, and he'd just fine, and he didn't have to have his own hoop and so on, and we can make do. That was kind of Grandfather Lee's position. Now, Sister Ruth, that was a different story. Ruth was the younger sister, 2 years younger. And as Quentin was just going into his teenage years, she was sort of physically catching up. And Ruthie could do just about anything Quentin could do, and maybe even do it better at getting grades at school. And she was even probably just about as good as he was at sports activity, including basketball. So she had no sympathy to Quentin's quest for this whole new basketball system either. Well, Quentin came up with a strategy. It was the Friday before Christmas. School had just gotten out. Quentin had a plan. He was going to go to his mom's place of work and there make his case for this new basketball system, and she would have to explain why she wouldn't be able to afford it in front of her friends. So he went to the Quick Stop, and she wasn't there. But one of her co-workers says, "Oh, Quentin, your mother is such a hard worker. She's putting in extra time. I know she really wants something special for you kids for Christmas." And of course, Quentin was thinking to himself, I don't need more new clothes. I don't need school supplies. Here's what I need, this basketball system. And, well, he realized that wasn't going to work. So rather than just go home, he decided he'd try Grandfather Lee. So he made his way across town to the warehouse. And they wouldn't let him in onto the floor of the warehouse, but one of Grandfather Lee's co-workers saw him and came into the office and said, "Oh, Quentin, your grandfather, he's one of the best workers we have around here. He's putting in all this extra time. I know he's really wanting to, to have a special Christmas for you kids." Well, at that point, Quentin had had enough and went home. And that night, he made a critical decision. He was going to give up the quest for this basketball system. But he had another plan. Saturday morning, he took the old Spalding ball, went down to the pawn shop, and offered to sell it. The guy at the pawn shop said, "Well, what you got here?" He says, Quentin says, "It's an antique, and it's got some autographs on it. And, well, it's pretty good. What do you want for it?" And Quentin says, "Well, about $50. I got to do some Christmas shopping." The guy says, "Okay, but you got to sign some information." Quentin immediately went to the mall, bought a new sweater for his mom, bought a fishing pole for his granddad, and even a little stuffed elephant for his sister Ruthie. Christmas Eve was a little difficult, but Christmas morning, of course, he got the things he didn't want. New clothes, school supplies. But he was really pleased. His mom loved the sweater. His granddad loved the pole, was trying to cast right there in the living room, and Ruthie even liked the stuffed elephant. And then Mom brought out a package, a big square box, with both Quentin and Ruthie's name on it. And when they opened it up, it was a new Spalding basketball. But then Quentin thought, I got to share the basketball. And with tears in his eyes, he headed out through into the garage, but Grandfather Lee was right behind him. And Grandfather Lee says, "Open the garage door." Quentin did, and there was the new basketball court, 10-foot hoop, brand new. Grandfather Lee says, "Quentin, I knew what you tried to do. Your dad wouldn't want you to get rid of that ball. Those signatures, why, it's Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain and Magic Johnson. It's worth a whole lot more than $50. The pawn shop guy gave us back the basketball. Here it is. But in the meantime, why don't we shoot some hoops?"
Oh, that's a nice story. That's a perfect Christmas Eve story, Larry.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Now, did that come from your imagination?
Imagination and experience.
Okay. All right. Larry Brown, thank you so much for coming by and sharing your time with us. If people would like to get in touch with you,
contact me, brownstory@hotmail.com, and we can set up a phone.
All right. And Merry Christmas to you and yours, and to all of our listeners and viewers out there. We appreciate you spending the day with us. Tomorrow, we're going to look back with Dave Pera and Kathy Barton. See you then.